top 5 managers in the world right now in football. It's a bold list. It's going to be controversial for many people. I've got my list. Breton is going to be reacting towards it, being that critical listener, because it's good to have that. But let us know in the comment section down below. Do you agree? Do you disagree with the choices? Because personally, I watched Saturday Night Social of Sky Sports on YouTube, and I was shook with a man named Lawrence. That was the guy that did live streams with True Jordy. That is negative ball knowledge in my view. That top 10 list that they did. So please do not tune into that one. Tune into this one, because this is the one. This is the one. Trust people, okay? So top 5 managers in the world right now, and I believe are the best. I put number 5, Simone Inzaghi. What Simone Inzaghi has been doing at Inter has been a masterclass with 3 at the back. Pavard, Bastoni on the other end. The fluidity that he shows, the unique style of play too, is deserving to be mentioned in the top 5 list. Simone Inzaghi is underrated in my point of view. He's going to win 2 Scudettos in a row. He won the Coppa d'Italia. He has made Lautaro Martinez a world-class striker this season with Marcus Thuram next to him. And Di Marco and Bastoni is the best left side in terms of defensive capabilities. Barella wants to stay. Sagnanoglu wants to stay. Maybe Bastoni wants to stay. But the truth is, Internazionale, the Nerazzurri, know how to do business because of Simone Inzaghi being there. So he is my 5th place. Do you think that's right, Breton? Or do you think that's fair?
I'm okay. First, I got to hear the other 4. I'm okay with him in 5th. And I had a conversation with someone the other day that thought we were talking about Pippo Inzaghi, Filippo Inzaghi. So it's really, really interesting that some people don't realize that ain't him as manager of Inter. But yeah, I mean, Lautaro, though, he's been doing it a while, but this season, different dude.
Breed.
And to get Marcus Thuram, to get Barella hasn't even really gotten going this season for them just yet, but to get what they've gotten out of that Inter side, in my opinion, still could lift the Champions League trophy. They could get back to that final.
You put Man City, Real Madrid, and Inter in the 3rd position to win the Champions League?
I would actually, yeah.
The odds, the bookies put Arsenal in the 3rd position. So that, for me, is not deserving to be in the 3rd position, especially against that game at Porto. Inter, when they beat Atletico, they tell the world we're here to win it. So that's why 5th place, Simone Inzaghi, that beats El Cholo. But that's going to be a hard game in Wanda Metropolitano. My 4th place in the best top 5 managers in the world right now, I'm going to put the unbeaten manager, Xabi Alonso. Why don't I put him 3rd, 2nd, 1st? Well, watch the full video. But I think Xabi Alonso is a new manager in the block. And what he's done to be in the top 5 managers in the world right now, ahead of a Pochettino, ahead of a Tuchel, ahead of an Arteta, in my view, is unreal. They were 17th when he started with Bayer Leverkusen. Now they're an unbeaten team in all competitions this season with the right transfers of Xhaka, Hoffman, Grimaldo, all home runs. Boniface, and are all home runs because Xabi Alonso is on the helm. So he's my 4th place in the best managers in the world right now. Xabi Alonso.
As much as I love what Xabi Alonso has done this season, I love what he's done to Bayern Munich even more. 11-time winners of the Bundesliga straight, and he's got them sweating bullets. Not only that, he's got them probably huddled in some bunker right now, trying to figure out how to pry this man away from Bayer Leverkusen. But if you're going to put him in here and no Arteta, it seems like you might be alluding to some other omissions. I might have an issue with that. But because he hasn't won anything just yet. Now, we'll see what happens. He is on his way to potentially winning the Bundesliga. Only they can really mess things up, right? But the work self is very clearly doing work. 33 games unbeaten. And Xabi Alonso, you're right, is the sole reason. He's another vibes check, right? He's a great, it looks like he's a great tactician.
True.
He's a great players manager.
True.
And everybody on that team knows exactly what their role should be, or know exactly what level of freedom that they have in this Alonso setup. And obviously when you're playing wingbacks that are the most potent wingbacks on the planet, and Jeremy Frimpong and Alejandro Grimaldo, you've got my attention
because of his
day one.
play.
So
they're the most potent.
Yeah.
Because of him.
But
That's the reasoning. And why do I put a
Yeah.
Xabi Alonso ahead of Arteta? He starts Leverkusen in 17th. They're right now in the DFB Pokal. They're right now in the Bundesliga. They're right now in the Europa League. And the heritage of Leverkusen, they haven't won a trophy in their last 30 years. They have never won a Bundesliga title. Xabi Alonso is that variable. Arsenal has the facilities to do better. And thank God they're doing better now with Arteta. But I think they could have done better. I think a Xabi Alonso in the same period of time than an Arteta, maybe he would have won the Premier League by now. Maybe.
Ooh,
It's a bold statement. Maybe.
He was still kicking it in Real Sociedad's reserves teams or something at that point in time. But I'm with you.
And Xabi Alonso, this manager. This
But
manager.
with Xabi Alonso too, there's a depth there right now that has. I mean, there's no doubt he's the best Bundesliga manager.
Yep.
But with the depth of it, you mentioned like all the ones that hit Boniface, but the other ones that are kind of unknown in terms of the transfers, like a Nathan Tella.
True.
This guy was kicking it with Southampton in a relegation season, and he's using him as a right wing back, and he's using him to really great effect. You were also getting Amin Adli, who was in Ligue 1, not exactly like an amazing scorer in Ligue 1, but came over, and he has been incredibly serviceable. I'm more, believe it or not, impressed with what Xabi Alonso has done with Bayer Leverkusen's role players than I have their star players, and that's like, that's a minute difference for me because they've all been phenomenal. But they have been, I always talk about that proverbial like kick in the teeth or punch in the gut. Leverkusen has gotten it already this season with Boniface out with injury after 4 straight Rookie of the Months awards in the Bundesliga. And they're still firing on all cylinders. They still beat Bayern 3-0 and basically get Thomas Tuchel to put his head on the chopping block. Like it's pretty intense. But until he does it outside, if he lifts the Europa League trophy this year, if he brings them back into Champions League, and then, God darn it, if he stays at Bayer Leverkusen and leads them to not a hierarchy, a dynasty of their own, then I will applaud Xabi Alonso. Alex, I've said this to you previously. I would love for Xabi Alonso to stay at Leverkusen. I don't think this is a flash in the pan, lightning in a bottle type of situation. I think that they actually have what it takes to win this thing multiple years in a row. So I would love to see that.
Stay. But even though, if they don't win the Europa League, for me, it's a success. With the season, with the squad he had last season to get to the semifinals, for me, it's a success already. And then to get another semifinals this season, I think that would be awesome. Leverkusen right now are my second place to win, the second favorite towards winning the Europa League. My first, well, it hints with the third position of manager. I think the third best manager in the world right now is Jurgen Klopp. It's going to be his last dance at Liverpool, but in his last dance at Liverpool, he still plays the B squad in the Carabao Cup and he wins it. And they're still in the Premier League, FA Cup, and Europa League. That happens because of the good job that Jurgen Klopp built throughout these years with Liverpool. Robertson, Trent, Virgil van Dijk, Alisson, Henderson in the past, a captain that was needed at Jurgen Klopp to appear in the Liverpool squad. He is the main difference. He is the variable. Jurgen Klopp was the man to beat Bayern Munich last time towards winning a Bundesliga and was the last man towards beating Pep Guardiola in a Premier League title. He is my third place in the best managers in the world. So I have Simone Inzaghi in fifth. I've got Xabi Alonso in fourth, and I got Jurgen Klopp in third.
I have no issues. I have no issues with that. And the funny thing is like you just mentioned all of his star players. And it's just so insane to think that literally none of them were on the field at Wembley to win that Carabao Cup. Instead, it was
only Virgil van Dijk.
You're right, Virgil van Dijk, and of course, he's the one that makes the difference there. Shout out to Ibrahima Konate, to Andy Robertson on that day. Luis Diaz was pretty insane as well. But no, it was the guys he brought on near the end. Right? It was Dan's up top. You had McConnell, I think, in the middle. You had Clark in the middle. You had Connor Bradley coming off of a really, really topsy-turvy time personally. So it's nice to see. Well, I'm jealous. I think everybody, managerially, you should be jealous of whoever does take over Liverpool. I mean, the future still should be bright if they can do everything in the vein of Jurgen Klopp.
It's
Hugely
a very hard
job.
job because matching Jurgen Klopp is almost an impossible job. Almost because I say Xabi Alonso could be that guy. But let's wait and see if that happens. But we're going to be
Alex,
referring to other managers that could be
yeah.
taking over, even though it's not a Xabi Alonso in this video.
Yep.
Who do you think is my second place in the best managers in the world, Bretson?
Not Diego Simeone. No. I mean, it's like one of two, and I'm pretty certain you're not going to do this. So I'm gonna say it's Diego, or no, it's Carlo. I don't know why I just said Diego. Carlo Ancelotti for Real Madrid as your number 2. Is that correct?
That is very correct. Carlo Ancelotti for me is the second best manager in the world. My first place, well, if you don't know, you should know. And if you don't know, you have no ball knowledge. Is Pep Guardiola the best manager in the world? But Carlo Ancelotti is my second place because he's won at Real Madrid every single possible trophy. He's won 11 trophies in his time in the club. That is full heritage. And Carlo Ancelotti is the manager with most finals, most Champions League ones, and most wins in the Champions League. That is football heritage once again. And this time at Real Madrid, he develops Fede. He develops Vinicius. He develops Bellingham redefining the 10 position. He's the variable. And I can't wait to see Hendrik with Carlo Ancelotti. That Hendrik and Arda Güler people, they're not going on loan. If you think they're going on loan, you have no ball knowledge because they are going to see the greatness assembled next season in person in that locker room, learning from the best. If Toni Kroos stays another season, you have veterans like Kroos, Nacho, Carvajal, Courtois. Militão can even be considered a veteran. He was bought from Porto 50 million how many years back? It's unreal what's been happening. So that's why I put Carlo Ancelotti in my second place. And if he was at Everton, I wouldn't put him in my second place right now. If he was. He improved. He showed that age is just a number, Carlo Ancelotti, because I'm sure many people wouldn't put him the best top 5 managers in the world when he was at Everton. And now at Real Madrid, he reinvents himself and shows the genius that he is, especially with the amount of injuries that they've had this season. And they're top in La Liga, and they're fighting for the Champions League. Madness in my point of view.
The seamless integration of Jude Bellingham, I think, is up there from a tactical perspective. And on top of that, like he's proof that a quote unquote old dog can be taught new tricks, even though he's the one doing his own teaching, or he's the one doing his own whatever in terms of his own professional improvement of himself. So yeah, Carlo Ancelotti's up there. Obviously, I mean, coming off a treble season, it's hard to put him in front. Last season, we might have had Ancelotti first, coming off of their win in the Champions League. But maybe not this year. But yeah, Ancelotti moving forward, there's a reason why this guy had on the table the ability to go join the Brazilian national team heading into a World Cup cycle. And when all is said and done, he decided, no, the grass is definitely still pretty dang green here at Santiago Bernabeu. Yeah. So, and basically, I've got all of Brazil here with me anyway. But you did see Toni Kroos. Yes. He might, come back for another season if he's actually coming back for the upcoming Euros for Germany. Germany got a nice little shot in the arm for Germany ahead of this summer, knowing that Toni Kroos will be back in the mix. And on top of that, I think he is playing defense because Palmeiras is asking for Endrick until the end of this year. No, and I'm pretty sure Real Madrid is saying absolutely not. 100% nope, no. I want him. So.
That's why we kept Ancelotti. We needed to develop these types of players. No, 100%. And even a detail, I mentioned in the Champions League prediction, is coming out this week, but a detail that I think the listeners of the podcast need to know, it's every Real Madrid player in that locker room has to do a speech mandatory, and they rotate between the players. So that shows accountability from every player. That's why Camavinga does the speech in the Super Cup final. That's why. Okay. And that is a detail that shows the greatness in terms of managerial job that Carlo Ancelotti does in that locker room. So my top
Does he do it?
Sorry.
English and French. Does he do it in English or French?
I'd say
or Spanish.
Spanish. Every Real Madrid player learns Spanish. I think Mbappe, Takefusa Kubo even said it after the game of Real Sociedad PSG. I was surprised with how well he spoke Spanish. Well, he was told that he has to learn Spanish. It's Real Madrid's heritage, the Spanish heritage. It's Madrid. It's the royalty of Spain. That's why there's tension between Barca and Real Madrid, but that's a whole different topic.
Whole different topic,
top
but
five
great.
managers in the world right now, in my view, Simone Inzaghi, I put him fifth. Xabi Alonso, I put him fourth, unbeaten, but he still has to prove a lot towards being ahead of these top three, in my view. Klopp third, second Ancelotti, and first Pep Guardiola. Greatness in full action. I'm consistently shook with Pep Guardiola every season that passes by. And to see how dominant Man City were against Real Madrid last season, that happens because of Pep Guardiola redefining the way he plays football. John Stone is in a unique position. Bernard Silva and Kevin De Bruyne, you can't contain both. Real Madrid couldn't contain both. And if they can't, no one in the world could that year. So Man City, we saw greatness that year. But in my list, I have no Arteta, I have no Ange Postecoglou, I have no Pochettino. I'm sorry, Premier League fans. Who would be the manager that you would put in the top five, Bretson? Or close to the top five?
I would take out Xabi Alonso and I'd put in Mikel Arteta just because of the level of where he's doing it at. Neither of them have won trophies. But listen, the plan is the plan. And he's got one of the best defenses in the Premier League. They're in Europe.
Simeone ahead of Arteta, maybe.
Diego Simeone, is that what you just said? Yeah, Diego Simeone is the other. I called Diego Simeone the managerial version of like a cockroach. That sounds terrible, but it's
crazy,
actually. Well, yeah, he's crazy, but at the same time, you always think he's on his way out of Atletico Madrid, and then he's just there. He's right there under the under the refrigerator, under the oven, walking right under your boot. But obviously, he's a hell of a manager. Has been very stubborn in terms of how he does things. But come on, look at the longevity of what he's done for Atleti, and this year is no different.
True.
He's been able to keep Atleti.
And they're in a rebuild.
Constantly in the conversation. They are, even while in a rebuild. And I think that's what's so crazy about that. The other one, let me just see. You mentioned.
I think Zidane is the biggest name that wasn't in the top five.
Yeah.
But we don't put Zidane in the top five managers in the world right now because we don't see it. We don't see Zidane as a manager. But if Zidane goes to Bayern Munich, he's immediately in the top five with the amount of success he can conquer with that team. Come on, a three-peat in the Champions League never happened. A back-to-back never happened.
Zidane is too busy hawking so rare and stuff. He's making enough money sitting on the sidelines than actually going in and managing. But like, I'm tired of people calling Zidane a manager. He's got to actually manage something for me to be a manager. Like, we're riding the coattails of what was obviously an don't get me wrong, please,
ex-manager.
People, don't kill me.
He's an
right?
ex-manager.
But he's an ex-manager until he gets back in the game. Other ones I would mention, but you're right, I probably wouldn't have him in the top five. Unai Emery, what he's done, obviously, in the Midlands, what he's done for Villa. We got to remember, he's only 8 points off the Premier League title right now. I mean, this Premier League title is not like one win. You're not scoring 105 points to win the Premier League this particular season. But the project continues with Unai Emery in fourth place. He's looking to consolidate that fourth place, and he's doing it with not as many injuries as like a Newcastle or a Liverpool right now, but quite a few, especially the defense. Boubacar Kamara's out with a busted ACL again. Ezri Konsa, Tyrone Mings, Diego Carlos is in and out and in and out. It's infuriating, but yet they play a way that I am constantly signing in. I'm constantly watching Aston Villa games, just like I will tune into Spurs games because of the way Big Ange plays. But any man that turns Ollie Watkins into a true Premier League weapon deserves to be at least 6th or 7th on the top managers right now list.
No, but it's mad. Ollie Watkins is the first player in the top 5 leagues to have 25 goal involvements. That happens because of Unai Emery. Unai Emery did take the best out of Cavani when he was at PSG too. So he works really well with strikers. Tuchel was another snub, I said. But managers that could one day be in the top 5, I think Arteta should be in that conversation. I think Ruben Amorim should be in that conversation. Thiago Motta should be in that conversation for what he's doing at Bologna. De Zerbi at Brighton. Very interesting. If he goes to Barca, that would be bold. Nagelsmann, I think, deserves to be in that conversation of maybe one day being in the top 5. So a lot of talent is brewing in terms of managers. Farioli will still at Stade Reims. There's many bold takes. Many bold takes.
I don't
But
I
one
don't
thing,
know who the
Mhm.
I don't know who the Brest manager is. The Brest manager, but he's got them doing well in Ligue 1. But Michel at Girona,
True.
48-year-old,
It's
you got to keep him up there. Like
True.
even though
True.
people have
True.
kind of found out Girona after that Real Madrid loss, they're still in. They could finish second, right? And City Football Group me all you want. I don't really care about that because they have not spent likely all the money that could have been allocated for the transfers, considering that their club record transfer was 8 million euros or so with Artem Dovbyk. So Michel definitely deserves some love. Big Ange deserves some love. And then we got to go to the Eredivisie, Arne Slot and Peter Bosch. Peter Bosch, at least at PSV Eindhoven. I know he has branched out elsewhere, but Peter Bosch understands PSV Eindhoven. I don't know if he should leave anytime soon, but the PSV that I'm watching this season is so fun to watch. So at least for sheer enjoyment, top 12 or something, right?
For sure. And Ricardo Pepi scoring goals too, so I understand you got a bit of a feels with Peter Bosch.
Malik Tellman, Serginho Dest. Come on, you got all the Americans in there.
They're unbeaten still, and they won what?
They
7-1 this weekend? It's mad. Johan Bakayoko playing the way he is. But one thing's for sure, this is going to be a mad summer in terms of managers moving places. Barca needs a manager. Bayern Munich needs a manager. Liverpool need a manager. I think Juventus will be needing a manager. I think Milan will be needing a manager. Man United, we had the talk. I think they will be needing a manager with Erik ten Hag out. Newcastle, I don't think Eddie Howe's that guy. And Chelsea, I think maybe we'll be needing a manager with Pochettino leaving. This summer is going to be bonkers. Bonkers.
It is going to be bonkers. And I just need to, again, register my annoyance. Obviously, I had an annoyance with Xavi not leaving Barcelona, period, if he thought he was doing more harm than good. Thomas Tuchel, the same exact thing. What's with this, like, let's just keep him in his job for 6 more months so we could buy ourselves some time to find a new boss. Why would he even want to stay there, unless it's for money? Why would he want to stay there knowing that he is on his way out? Like, just leave. Just fire the guy. What happened to just straight firing somebody? Right?
It's difficult,
but
it's difficult.
I don't know,
the
man.
managers, the players. I think Harry Kane is the biggest endorser of Thomas Tuchel. But honestly, from what I see, I think Kimmich doesn't like him. I think Thomas Muller doesn't like him. I think Alfonso Davies doesn't like him. This is a conspiracy, what I'm saying. It's only from pure vibes from what I see. But on the pitch, Kimmich is not happy. Muller is not happy. And Kane is that guy. He's the man that's saving Thomas Tuchel.
But again, I do think that a lot of the the common ingredients of the last 11 years at Bayern, I think they're also part of the problem, right? Now, they know how a place should be run, but they know how a place should be run over the past decade, right? What has worked over the last 11 years for Bayern, and obviously many years prior to that, might not necessarily work the next 11 years, especially, right? Well, the identity... But there is a way to, how you preserve the identity? I don't know. You actually foster your academy and blood players and bring them in.
Pavlovic.
Right?
Kimmich?
Yeah, Pavlovic is
literally
like, Kimmich is like old. But
Jamal Musiala comes from Chelsea, yes, too. But I do see that Bayern Munich are aware of that.
Anyone else?
Matisse still bought. So I get you.
Yeah, we're like, you got Jonas Krotzig, I guess. They let Kenan Yildiz go to Juve.
True.
Who else? I mean, there are others we can look at. They have a lot of strength within that Bayern academy. And I'm not saying that is like, it wasn't always the lifeblood, but think about the Bayern that you and I think about, right? True. It's like Lahm. Of course, I'm going to blank on all the names right now. You're talking about guys that, right? And Kimmich was in the Bayern, but he was also elsewhere. He was at Stuttgart previously to that. So there's a lot. I think that the identity of Bayern has been slowly eroding away over the years anyway.
No.
Even though they keep winning.
You know why I disagree with you? Because that when I say identity is not just German players that come from the academy. It's the actual league too. Mats Hummels, Robert Lewandowski, Kimmich wasn't there. They signed the best players inside their own league, Bayern Munich. That's not been happening. They're investing more outside of the league. Matthijs de Ligt.
Yeah, but whose fault is that?
Whose fault is it? I think it's of the Bayern board too. Yes, I think
Yes.
they have.
Yeah. Okay.
I think they're to blame. Yes, when they leave a Cristiano Ronaldo go, for me, it shouldn't have happened. I wanted to see, but that's a very specific topic. But I think they should be doing better than what they're doing in terms of recruitment inside their own league. I think they need more players from the Bundesliga. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
But let us know your thoughts about the top 5 managers. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let us know in the comment section. Other managers that we didn't refer. Go bold in the comment section and like this video.